Okay, ladies, ready?
Yep.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Casey Schloss, and I'm a doctor of pharmacy, and I'm joined tonight by some really brilliant friends of mine, Dr. Clarissa Hall, PharmD, as well as Dr. Kelly Rumpel, PharmD, who are both doctors of pharmacy as well. And I guess you can say we're not your typical pharmacists. So our goal tonight is to educate families, and not just tonight, but this is our goal, to educate families on how they can avoid the pharmacy as much as possible. And it's not that we're anti-medication, it's just that we know so many of them can be avoided. So tonight we're focusing on gut health, how to get your gut right and how to become friends with your gut bacteria. It might sound a little funny, but I hope after tonight you totally feel like you have the tools to do that. Functional medicine puts a major focus on the gut and the health of the digestive system. It really impacts the health of our entire body, in large part due to the trillions of, really hundreds of trillions of bacteria residing there in our gut. It's breaking down our food, fighting pathogens, and controlling our metabolism, and so much more. We don't have time tonight to go into all of the science behind it, but there's no doubt that the current research has proven this time and time again. So we're not just here sharing our own personal hypotheses with you. We are really sharing evidence-based information in hopes that it's going to equip families all over the world to take control of their health and to get their gut right. And this is really just one facet of gut health that I'm going to mention, but let me start off by asking you a question. How common is constipation in our world today? It's way too common. I mean, probably so many of you who are listening have dealt with it yourself or somewhere in your family. It's become way too normal, especially in our children. And again, we don't have time to go into all the meds that are used with regards to gut health, but let me just shed some light on one drug in particular, and that's Miralax. Chemically, Miralax is polyethylene glycol. And you might be familiar with Miralax. I don't know, you might use it in your household. And if you don't, my guess is you know someone who does. It's an osmotic laxative used for constipation. And I'm approaching this topic very humbly because I grew up as a child who had a really unhealthy gut, battled with constipation myself, and then an autoimmune disorder. But I want to educate parents who might be using Miralax long-term for their children. And really, here's my point. Our children, and even us as adults, we shouldn't have to rely on a laxative to go to the bathroom. I'm sure you probably agree with that. I hope you do. And in addition, I haven't seen any long-term data showing any safety or efficacy in the use in our pediatric population of that drug. But it's become all too common for Miralax and so many other medications to just be sitting on our kitchen counters all across the world. And so with that being said, I'm going to hand it off to my friend Kelly Rumpel, PharmD. Kelly graduated with her doctorate degree in pharmacy in 2006 from St. Louis College of Pharmacy. She is brilliant, and she's a holistic pharmacist and an author who specializes in preventative care and preventative health care. So Kelly, please take it away. You are a gut health expert. I very highly respect you and what you know, and I know you're going to bless these people tonight with your knowledge. So we're handing it off to you, Kelly.
Thank you, Casey. You're the sweetest. So hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I am so excited about tonight. This is one of my favorite topics because it's not talked about enough, and it's so important. So like Casey said, I'm a holistic pharmacist. And honestly, my journey started with natural medicine and preventative healthcare when I was behind the pharmacy counter. And I was watching my customers, my patients come in every single day, and they were frustrated, and their medication doses were going up every single month. They had side effects. They were going back to the doctor for their side effects, bringing in more scripts the next month, higher doses, more side effects. And it was this vicious cycle. And I felt really frustrated watching that. Not only that, but I was in my own vicious cycle of the same with my gut health. It started in high school, kind of just ignored it. I thought it was all just kind of normal. But when I get to college, it was way too much. I was going to the doctor, I was getting colonoscopies, I was having all sorts of issues. And, I was a typical college kid. I had the terrible diet with, lots of rum and coke, lots of ramen noodles, lots of stress. And I was a mess. And I found myself in the same position where I was on 4 different medications. Just for my gut health alone. I had heartburn, irritable bowel syndrome, you name it. I was getting all like ulcerative colitis. I was getting all these diagnoses. And I got really frustrated in that too. I'm like, I want answers. Why is none of this helping? And I am in my 20s and on all these meds. And I needed to do something about it. So I started doing my own research. Not only did I find a connection with what was going on with me, but I also found that connection with my mood. during the worst time with my gut health, I was having a lot of anxiety, and so much so that they were like, "You're so anxious, you're depressed." I'm like, "How? What?" I was so confused. I'm like, "How does this happen? I'm a happy college kid." So I started connecting the dots, and next thing you know, I'm learning about how your gut health is connected to your mood, amongst a lot of other things. So the more I learned, the more I realized I needed to spread this message. I got myself off all my meds, and everything's great. So I just spread this message as much as possible because it's so, so important, and it's not talked about enough. So gut health is a huge topic related to every system in our body. And that's what's so fascinating about it. Not only does it affect our mood, like I said, it affects our risk for disease. It affects our hormone balance. Ladies, we have enough issues with hormones anyways. We don't need to have our gut helping us with that issue. And it also weakens our immune system when our gut health is off. So Casey's got my little chart up here. So if you look at the top there, those are the things that most commonly cause poor gut health. And so that's artificial flavors and dyes, oral contraceptives, stress. Stress is huge. Stress will weaken your immune system and wreck your gut health just by itself alone. Gluten is a big inflammatory for a lot of people. Processed foods, which is chock full of chemicals and inflammatory things that are just terrible for our body. But listen, none of us are perfect. We're all eating processed foods. We have a hectic lifestyle. It's just the way it is. So no judgment here. I am in no way, shape, or form perfect. I ate plenty of processed foods today alone. So antibiotics is another one. Alcohol, sugar, dairy, pesticides, toxic beauty products. So if you look at the top of that chart, you're like, okay, all this is in my life, and that's in all of our lives. It's really hard to get away from all these things. But when I see those things, I'm like, okay, I can't get rid of all of them, but I can take it one step at a time. I can look at processed foods, not eat so much processed foods on certain days, maybe start small. And dairy, I've pretty much cut out besides cheese because cheese and Mexican food. Of course, I got to have it. Everything's smothered in cheese. But toxic beauty products, I changed where I get my beauty products now, and I know where they're sourced, and I know how many chemicals are in them. So there's little things, right, that we can do along the way to help ourselves. So why is gut health so important? Like I said, it's connected to our immune system, our hormones, our mood, and our risk for disease. So what do I mean when I say poor gut health? Like, what does that actually mean? So that means inflammation in our gut. And that can look like nothing at all, like you may not even know it's there, or it could look like things like irritable bowel syndrome, chronic diarrhea, chronic constipation, or maybe it's disguised in skin issues, like cystic acne, rheumatoid arthritis is another one, chronic pain that's unspecific and a really unidentified cause, fibromyalgia, things like that. So when you think about gut health, it's not always just like, oh, I'm constipated, or I have diarrhea, or I'm bloated. That's those kind of things. It can mean a lot of other things and a lot of other symptoms. And unfortunately, these symptoms that we kind of just ignore for so long, that's inflammation. And inflammation leads to disease. Okay. So like I said, look at the top, see what's on the top of that chart and see what you can kind of cut down on. But I want to explain, you see these arrows coming down off of poor gut health. So let's talk about mood disorders first. This topic I love because like you heard in my story, I struggled with anxiety, and that was directly correlated to my gut health, amongst other things. Like, I am not going to sit here and say, as soon as you fix your gut, all of your anxiety's gone, all of your depression's gone. That's not exactly it either. It's a major contributor, but I also know, because I've had a lot of clients, and myself included, that it's a spiritual thing, it's an emotional thing, it's a situational thing. Mood disorders and anxiety and depression, that's a heavy topic, and there's a lot of things that go into it. So I'm not saying this is gonna be the key to getting rid of everything, but I'm just saying if you do focus on improving your gut health, a lot of other things are going to fall into place for you. I promise. Okay, so mood disorders. This one's cool. So a lot of people don't realize that over 85% of serotonin is actually made in your gut, not your brain. So often we're made to think, okay, I'm having anxiety, I'm depressed, I need to see a doctor. Like, you walk in their office, you get a script for an antidepressant or a benzo like Xanax, Valium, something like that. And you walk out the door 5 minutes later and you're under the impression that it's just a chemical disorder and this is what it is and the medication's your only option. And to that, it makes me sad, because I just want you to know, I'm not saying it's not something that you should do. Medication's there for a reason. Medications save lives. I am in no way, shape, or form saying that you should never take a medication. But what I am saying is that I want you to realize that there's other options. There's other things going on a lot of times. And so serotonin, back to that, that is our happy chemical. Our body makes serotonin mainly in the gut, and your gut cannot make serotonin if it's unhealthy. So you have to have certain vitamins on board in order for your body to turn serotonin, or to turn your food into serotonin and then into melatonin. So that's really neat too, is that serotonin is converted into melatonin. We all know melatonin helps us sleep. Serotonin makes us happy. Melatonin helps us sleep. So if our gut health is off and our body is not absorbing vitamins and nutrients, which is what happens a lot of times when your intestinal wall is inflamed or you have leaky gut or a lot of issues going on in your intestines, your body cannot absorb vitamins and nutrients as well as it should. And without those vitamins and nutrients, like I said, you can't have that as much serotonin as you would normally have, and then you wouldn't get enough melatonin either. So that leads to, like I said, mood disorders, insomnia, sleep problems. And you may be thinking, well, I sleep just fine. But a lot of times if you're deficient in serotonin and melatonin, you don't even realize that your sleep quality is not good. You might be sleeping, but the quality is not good. So you're not having that real deep, good sleep that's so detoxifying and helps us to rid our body of toxins. And I call it dirty brain. If your brain is not getting cleansed every night while you're sleeping in that good, deep sleep, you get that dirty brain. And that gives us brain fog and a lot of other things, loss of concentration and focus too. So that is kind of a vicious cycle, as you can see. So you get the poor sleep quality, you're tired, you wake up the next day, and when you're tired, you're crabby, you're craving carbs, and you're low on energy, and you didn't detox enough overnight. So now you're eating junk food, which leads to more gut inflammation, and then now you're back in the vicious cycle. So we got to break the cycle. Okay, so that's mood. Moving on to disease risk. So this is a big one. A lot of people don't realize that inflammation leads to disease over time. And they're linking diseases to inflammation more and more now. And they're realizing that it's a long-term effect of inflammation. So diseases that I'm talking about specifically is things like autoimmune disorders, diabetes, Alzheimer's, cancer, fibromyalgia, irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis. I could go on and on and on with that list. It's massive. Like, most diseases are in relation to inflammation, and inflammation happens over time, especially in our gut lining when we're having a lot of the things at the top of this chart, right? So if we can reduce the things at the top, we reduce inflammation, which means we have less occurrence of disease risk. Awesome, the correlation there, right? Okay, so the next one over, hormone imbalance. Ladies, our gut, it's not gonna run our hormones completely, but it plays a giant role. And I won't get too science nerd on you, but basically there is beta-glucuronidase that's going to help with estrogen homeostasis in your body. And if your gut health is off, that beta-glucuronidase is off, which means your estrogen is off, which means it leads to hormone imbalance issues like PCOS, endometriosis, and you're at a greater risk for things like breast cancer, cervical cancer, endometrial cancer. Okay, so it's a big one. And like I said, we don't need any more help with our mood swings and our hormones. And hormone homeostasis is a huge deal, and a lot of it's linked to your gut health. So I mean, and I could go down a rabbit hole with each one of these boxes on that chart, but I just wanted to give you a general overview. So when you leave this webinar, you say, oh my gosh, gut health matters. Like, that's it. I just want you to know that it matters, and it matters to every single system in your body. So that's the point here. And the fourth and final one that I'll mention is the weakened immune system that happens when you have an unhealthy, inflamed gut. And right now, this is a huge topic. It doesn't matter where you stand on the issues that are going on right now everywhere. But I will say a strong immune system is really important for everybody, no matter if it's today or whenever. It's all day, every day. Our immune system is everything. It's what keeps us healthy. And our bodies cannot keep us strong and protected from viruses, bacteria, things like that, if we're not giving it what it needs. So reduced vitamin absorption from a inflamed gut is going to cause a weakened immune system. So again, you can see how this would be a vicious cycle, right? So if you're somebody who has a lot of inflammation in your gut, poor gut health, you might have a weakened immune system, which leads to more sickness, which leads to, in a lot of cases, more antibiotic use. And that antibiotic use kills off your good and bad bacteria in your gut, which that balance of good and bad bacteria is so crucial. And when you take an antibiotic, you throw that balance completely off. And it's like starting over fresh with your guts. You gotta replenish the good and bad gut bacteria, and that takes time. And while that's taking time to do that, you have a weakened immune system. So you're more likely to get sick, need an antibiotic, you kill off your good and bad gut bacteria again, and you just start all right over. So in a lot of cases, you probably know somebody, or maybe you are this person who is on antibiotics a lot. Like it's constant, right? And if you are that person, I would say, if you can, break that cycle. If there's something, if you're feeling sick, not every cough, cold, flu needs an antibiotic. I can't tell you how often I hear that people are just like, my doctor wouldn't give me a Z-Pak. And I'm like, well, good. Like if it's viral, it's viral. It's not bacterial. You don't need an antibiotic. So I'm not saying to refuse all antibiotics, but I am saying if it's viral and your doctor says it's viral, it's viral. You don't need an antibiotic, and don't do that to your body. They're actually doing you a favor by not giving you that, because then there's all the other issues as well that comes from over antibiotic use, like resistance and things like that. So they're doing you a favor. So weakened immune system comes from gut inflammation and things like leaky gut. Leaky gut's a whole other issue too. The lining of your gut wall actually kind of get some holes in it. That's why they call it leaky gut. And food particles can get through those cell breakages in the lining of your gut. And that can cause food sensitivities, inflammation, autoimmune type issues, just pain, overall, just a lot of issues. Food sensitivities, I think I already said, but it's true. A lot of times you'll be eating something and you think that you're allergic to it, and it's not true. Like you might have leaky gut issues, and there's something leaking through that wall that's irritating your body, and all of a sudden you have a reaction to it. So I'm not saying that's the case for everybody, but leaky gut does play a major role in that. So, okay, what else? So I think I covered an overview of pretty much everything that I wanted to mention. Like I said, you can't cut out everything that's at the top of this chart. You can just do your best to reduce stress. Stress is so big. If you can take 10 minutes a day to de-stress, I don't care if you meditate, go for a walk, journal, watch Real Housewives. I don't care what it is to get your mind to de-stress, decompress a bit, get some you time in every single day, even if it's just a little bit of time. That giving your body that de-stressing is huge, because we have to remember with our cell phones and our busy lifestyles now, and especially with what's going on right now, everyone's stressed. And that stress pumps out cortisol and adrenaline in our bodies. Every time your cell phone pings, that's like, boom, cortisol, adrenaline. Your body's like, woo, who needs me, right? And so we got to find ways to de-stress and decompress a bit. And then just taking a look at the top of the chart, whatever you can eliminate or reduce the amount of is going to be huge for you. So you know what to get rid of, right? That's at the top. So let's talk about what you can add in order to help heal your gut wall. So things like whole foods, like from the ground, whole foods, fruits and vegetables, things that are grown out of the ground. If it's in a bag or a box, it's processed, most likely. And I'm talking about straight out of the garden type stuff. The antioxidants and phytonutrients that are in whole foods is going to help heal your gut lining. Not only, I didn't mention before, but pain medication like ibuprofen and things like that of that nature are also really bad for your gut wall. So medications can contribute to toxin overload and inflammation in your gut too. So overuse of unnecessary medications. If you can cut back and find a natural alternative, that's going to be beneficial for you as well. But adding in whole foods is amazing. Supplements, which Casey is going to touch on. Supplementing, I believe in it so much because we don't get enough from our food anymore. Our food is not enough because our soil's depleted. We've got chemicals and pesticides, and things are pulled off before they're ripe, and it's just not as nutrient dense as it used to be. And supplementation is there for us to help bridge that gap between what our body needs and what we're actually feeding it. Because remember, none of us are perfect. I can make some chicken nuggets like any other mom out there, and I am not perfect by any means. And then also adding in probiotics is also a really good idea for most people, especially, like I said, if you're on antibiotics, you definitely want to be on a probiotic. In fact, you want to be on a probiotic really every day anyways. Pretty much everyone could benefit from having a probiotic on board to keep that gut flora balance good to go. And that way your gut is not as inflamed and it's doing what it needs to do in order for you to absorb the nutrition from your body so your body can protect you and function the way it's supposed to. All right, Casey, I will turn it back over to you for the supplements.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. I told y'all, she knows her stuff. So Kelly, thank you so much. Absolute brilliance. I think everyone who's watching live or watches the replay is going to wish they had a Dr. Kelly Rumpel in their back pocket at all times. So thank you for blessing us with your knowledge. So I am going to go ahead and move on to what is it that we all recommend you can take outside of the probiotics like Kelly mentioned? What is it that the three of us take? What is it the three of us recommend to people? And what is it that's helped change our lives? But first, before I do that, like Kelly said, we are supposed to be consuming, I don't know if y'all know this, but we're supposed to be consuming 7 to 13 servings of fresh fruits and vegetables every day. Who can do that? So many people that I talk to regularly are moms, dads, whatever. We are all busy regardless of whether we're moms or dads. We are all so busy. I used to juice every day and still not get close to 7 to 13 servings. And I was spending $20 a day for my husband and I, and there was no way we were going to do that forever. But why? It's because, like Kelly said, those phytonutrients protect our bodies. We have all of these toxins coming in every day. And it's the fruits and vegetables that provide us with those phytochemicals to protect our bodies against disease. If we let it go, that's when disease comes in. And we have to have so many, you guys, because our produce is picked long before it's ripe. And so then it's nutritionally deficient. It's got to be transported thousands of miles. The large majority of us are not eating enough. And then on top of that, we don't get the wide variety that we need. We just do not get the wide variety. Us three live here in the Midwest and we're not getting what we need. And so what we recommend is the Juice Plus products. And so if you're familiar with Juice Plus, please leave us a comment and share what it's done for you. And if not, this is an easy way to make one simple change to get a variety of 30 different fruits, vegetables, and berries in capsule or chewable form. I'll come back to that in just a second if that piqued your interest for kids. But we also have a full spectrum plant-based omega. We won't go into that much tonight, but also a vegan, low glycemic, gluten-free, dairy-free, plant-based protein. And I'm going to touch on that in a little bit more that you can use for so many different things like shakes or smoothies or other things. But I love this because it absolutely has changed my life and because the research is what caught my attention in the first place. But if you just take a look at this slide, look at these fruits and vegetables and berries. And I honestly still have yet to meet anyone who is eating a wide variety, a rainbow of fruits and vegetables every single day in their diet. I just don't know how we could do it, especially living here in the Midwest. And these are foods that I wouldn't eat anyway, even if I sat around all day eating fruits and vegetables. So many of these things like elderberry, there's such an elderberry craze, dates, mangoes, prunes, really, really nutritious food with all of these polyphenols to protect our bodies in a really convenient and affordable form. And I just want to pause for a second here and talk about the difference between multivitamins versus whole food. You heard Kelly say whole food nutrition. You didn't hear her say load up on a whole bunch of synthetic vitamins, right? It's about whole food nutrition. And so there is a huge difference. If you look at the label on the left of your screen versus the label on the right, there's a huge difference between isolated, fractionated vitamins versus what you get in whole food nutrition. You cannot compare a multivitamin to an apple or broccoli. We're trying to bridge the gap in our country and so many other countries around the world with vitamins that are, like I said, fractionated, and they're synthetically made. They're not in their natural state. Our bodies do not know what to do with them. They might have a few isolated things that have been chemically altered. And if we compare that to an apple that has tens of thousands of phytonutrients, that's all working together in synergy. You need this stuff in synergy to work well in your body. And on top of that, research has shown that these all isolated vitamins can do more harm than good. And so it's really important that we're educating people on this. So what do I love the most about Juice Plus? Some things that stood out to me as a healthcare professional are it's made with the vine ripened produce. So it's food. It's not a multivitamin. It's allowed to ripen on the vine. So it's allowed to get to the peak of its ripeness. You know, the nutritional quality is in there. I love that. I needed to know that as a woman who is preparing my body for pregnancy, as a woman who is going to take it through pregnancy and then give it to my children every day. It's also tested for purity. So it's tested to make sure it has in there what it says is in there, all of those fruits and vegetables, and it's tested to make sure there's nothing else in there that could be potentially toxic. Talk about very, very important. And then again, it is not a vitamin, which is basically expensive urine, and it doesn't typically get into your blood. This is whole food nutrition that's proven to get into your bloodstream, and I'll touch on that in just a second. But third, it's the most thoroughly researched nutritional product in the whole world. Most thoroughly researched brand name nutritional products in the whole world. And I know my slide here says over 35, but now there's over 40 studies proving this. And so hopefully if you are a healthcare professional or you're a research person, you take a look at the research after this, because I always tell people, if you will take the time to sit down and look at the research, you're not going to be able to refute it. This is not just another supplement thing out there. I know there are so many, and I am not going to bash any others, but this is so different. It's proven by peer-reviewed clinical research. And so I want to go back and touch on these complete shakes, because we're talking all about gut health. And so I believe the capsules and the complete are so good for our gut health. But when you look at this complete, talk about feeding our gut with the good bacteria. Just all of those things that Kelly was talking about. This makes improving gut health achievable and so simple by bridging the gap with these nutritional products. So we need to understand, like Kelly said, that the inflammation all throughout our bodies has to do with the inflammation in our gut, but our bodies can heal when we heal the inflammation in our gut and the dysbiosis in our gut. So Juice Plus is actually a prebiotic. So it's feeding that good bacteria, and it's so simple to have a complete shake every day. And it's just that, it's complete. So it has starches and fiber that feed our microbiota. You guys, our American public, the average American, especially women, we are so low on the amount of fiber we need in a day. And we don't need something that's artificial and, you know, synthesized and all of that. We need it from whole food. And that's exactly what you're going to get. And the bacteria can feed on these resistant starches in the complete to help make everything start to work properly in our body. And when you combine these together, which I believe is truly important to do, you're getting, you know, over 45 plants working for your body every day. And again, it's clean and it's safe. So going back to that research, I love this, because whether you're a healthcare professional or not, it matters what you're putting into your body. But look at all of these different institutions that have studied Juice Plus, and they use the gold standard method. So we're talking about randomized, double-blinded, placebo-controlled, tested on the product itself, not borrowed research, in human clinical trials, humans taking Juice Plus, taking blood, and then going through the rigorous process to be published in peer-reviewed medical journals. Okay, and all of the testing is done ethically. So this is the real deal. I hope you understand that. Don't just take my word for it. If you're a research person, actually sit down and look at it. That's what my husband and I did. But we're talking about places like University of Maryland School of Medicine. That's my favorite study. It was published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology. you can't refute that stuff. We're talking University of Texas, MD Anderson, and so many more, Wake Forest University. I could go on and on, but it's very important. And that's why it's attracted thousands of healthcare professionals and physicians. Look at what the research has proven. So proven that it contributes to cardiovascular wellness. Proven, like Kelly was talking about, that inflammation in the body. It's proven that Juice Plus supports the healthy inflammatory response, supports quality of life, supports cholesterol, triglyceride metabolism, healthy lung function. That's so important for any of the smokers out there, or just for all of us with healthy, we want that healthy lung function, healthy skin and gums. You know, we do so much to take care of the exterior of our bodies, but really we need to be focusing on what's going on the inside, because that is reflected on the outside. So supports the immune system. You know, Kelly talked about that at length with how our gut affects our immune system. And I know everybody is so focused right now on immune health. We have research proving that Juice Plus supports a healthy immune system. In fact, after, I believe it's about 80 days, Juice Plus being consistently in the body is bringing our B cells and our T cells back into alignment. So it's not just a guess, it's actually proven by the research. Helps maintain healthy DNA, reduces oxidative stress, and I believe it's 19 studies now proving, like I said, that Juice Plus is absorbed by the body. And I love what Dr. Richard Du Bois, a friend of mine, says. He says there's nothing else available any place in the world with or without a prescription that's been clinically proven to do what Juice Plus has done. And I just say yes and amen. I agree with you. So we also have the Shred 10 program. And when you're really looking at improving your gut health, if you would like to have a jump start to do that, get with the person who invited you to this, or however you saw this through their Facebook, and ask about the Shred 10 program. If you need to get your gut right, this would be a great way to do that. It's really focusing on picking from 10 different things that you can focus on, one simple change at a time, to make true, strides in your health and a health impact maybe for your whole family. And there's lots of resources for that that come with that program. Now, I just want to let you guys know, we are not here to tell you that take Juice Plus and you're cured or whatever. This is not about treating or curing specific conditions or diseases. Juice Plus is really simple. It's bridging the gap between what we're supposed to be eating and what we actually are eating. It's healthful plant-based nutrition. It's highly concentrated, packs a nutritional punch. And like I said, it's supported by lots and lots of clinical research that proves what it does. So I think there's 3 questions we have to ask before we put things in a body. Kelly talked so beautifully about what we should be trying to avoid. And of course, none of us are perfect. We can't do it all the time. But what are the 3 questions we have to ask before we put something into our body in terms of, some sort of supplementation? And number 1, is it safe? Number 2, will my body absorb it? And number 3, is it proven to do anything? And I can tell you guys without a shadow of a doubt that Juice Plus passes that test with flying colors. And kids eat free. I love the heart of this company. With an adult order, you can sponsor a child, and just for the cost of shipping, and whoever you order Juice Plus through, they help to sponsor that child also and cover the cost. And kids ages 4 through 18, or even full-time college students, can receive Juice Plus for free for up to 4 years. And here's the kicker with that whole thing, is that look at the stats on what is happening when we get these kids on Juice Plus. They're missing fewer days of school, taking fewer over-the-counter and prescription drugs, drinking more water, visiting the doctor less, consuming less fast food, eating more fruits and vegetables. And I love this because this is looking at a large population of people, over 1.5 million families who have been impacted by this. So I'm going to go now to my friend, Dr. Clarissa Hall. And Clarissa, I can't wait for them to hear from you. Again, another brilliant mind. Clarissa Hall, Dr. Clarissa Hall, PharmD, I'm excited for you to hear her personal story. She graduated from the University of Missouri, Kansas City School of Pharmacy with her doctorate degree in 2006 also. And she's a compounding pharmacist and a hormone consultant. And she has an amazing story of healing from the inside out. So Clarissa, go ahead and take it away.
All right. Thanks, Casey. So like Casey said, I am a pharmacist. I am a wife. I'm a mom of 2 little boys. And my health journey really changed for the worse when I was 18 and I was just starting college. I had a health emergency, a GI emergency, where I was bleeding, and they had to go in and do colonoscopy. What they found was I had 3 large polyps. They said one of them had to be grown for at least 10 years. So literally when I was a very young kid. And there's 2 types of polyps that cause cancer, and I had both types. So as shocking as that was, I didn't know how to fix the problem. I just continued to go for my annual colonoscopies for prevention, and they would cut out the polyps and just continue annually. So get further on in college, I was still eating poorly, getting in that cycle that Kelly was talking about, eating poorly, stress, and I ended up with severe IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome, which oddly enough occurs in the majority of college students because of their lifestyle. So I had that. I was going to GI specialists. I tried every medication they had to offer, and nothing was helping me. I was literally, if anybody has IBS and had it severe, you know that when you eat something, you just get cold sweats and you have to run to the bathroom to try to get some relief. And I literally was in that cycle of doing that. I didn't know what to eat. I didn't know what was causing it. I didn't know any of these things because I was still a young, dumb college student, stuck eating all the crap food because that's what we knew. Well, then fast forward to my last year of pharmacy school, and I had my spleen removed due to a tumor, which was benign, thankfully. But your spleen is typically like your immune system. So they literally just remove my immune system. And by doing that, I was chronically ill. I went from being fairly sick to chronically ill. I was now living on antibiotics, multiple rounds a year, going to multiple hospital stays a year, and just no way out. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, basically. So I hit rock bottom in my when I was pregnant with my last child, and I was so sick that the doctors didn't know what was wrong with me. And my doctor actually told me that it was just going to be my way of life because I didn't have a spleen. But I left there that day saying, I'm not okay with that. I am going to become my own healthcare advocate. And I started doing research. And then I was invited to an event like this one that shared about Juice Plus. Casey actually invited me. And I realized this was the answer. It was nutrition that I was lacking. And I didn't know anything about nutrition because they don't teach it to us in school. We have to learn it. So I became my own healthcare advocate. I started the capsules right away, the shakes right away. And what I noticed was my IBS symptoms were gone. I was eating anything and everything without feeling like crap. But then I realized I need to eat better and do better. So then I cut out dairy. Dairy also helped with the inflammation just in my body. I felt so much better not having that on board as well. So, and then the best thing is I've been on it for 6 years now. I have not been on an antibiotic for an illness in those 6 years. So my gut health is repaired. I'm not living in that cycle that Kelly was talking about anymore. I also have my son Maverick, who was the youngest one that I was pregnant with when I was having all those complications and those heavy duty antibiotics pumped in me when I was pregnant with him, that I truly think affected his GI system while he was in the womb. So he experienced almost a megacolon because when they did a colonoscopy on him, they found his little colon was 3 times the size of normal. So he was about 3 when he had his colonoscopy done, and his colon was the size of a 60-year-old man's. So that to me was gut-wrenching because I knew that I needed to do more to help him. So he started taking more of Juice Plus. We put him on 2 shakes a day. And I can tell you now, he is a picture of health. He is living life to the fullest. He has so much energy. He's a true believer in the shakes. He has to have one for breakfast, and then he has one for after school snacks. So, but that's our family story. We wholeheartedly believe in nutrition. I'm teaching my kids what it means to be healthy and what is nutritious. And they are the healthiest kids that I've seen. Like, they eat a wide array of things, you know, like fresh spinach, broccoli in any form, asparagus. My oldest can't get enough of it. So it literally, you know, they do what you do. So if you learn to eat healthy and give them those options and show them that it is good for them and beneficial for them, they will do the same. So that's our family story. And thank you for having me, Casey.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Clarissa. I am so grateful for your story of improved health. And I just want to say thank you so much to Kelly and Clarissa for sharing and educating us tonight. I am so grateful for you ladies, and I know everyone who watches this will be too. And thank you to everyone who's joined us, whether you're watching live or if you catch a replay. And I just encourage each person who sees this to consider what it might look like to take control of your health in the areas that you can. Okay, just take control in the areas that you can by simply focusing on some of these gut health tips, maybe making one simple change for you and your family. And please get with the person who invited you to watch this, or the person whose Facebook profile you saw this from. Get with them for more information. God bless everybody. Have a good night.